What's up, y'all, and welcome into the Jack Vita and Brooke Show. We are here for the last recap of Season 1 of Deal or No Deal Island.
I know it comes to an end, but it was a great first season. I loved it.
It's a lot of fun. By the way, big news over the past week, renewed for Season 2.
I saw that, so I can't wait I wonder when they're going to announce who the cast is.
Yeah, I imagine they'll be filming this summer. So I don't know, maybe they'll have it out in the fall. That'd be great. I don't want to have to wait until like the spring of next year for the next season.
I know. But yeah, it's interesting. I'm curious too if they film in the same spot or how they're going to do things. But I think it was worthy of being renewed. So
absolutely. So we love Season 1. We're going to discuss the final episode today here. And we've got a very, very busy week here on the Jack Vita Show. We've got exit interviews with each member of the Final Four. So we're going to have something special for Boston Rob. Boston Rob it's going to be a round table of a bunch of journalists. We're each going to ask him some questions. So that'll be like a little bit of a collaboration. So you'll probably see some people from other podcasts on that podcast. So that should be fun. It's going to be like a press conference. And then each of the three ladies will have an hour-long exit interview. So we're going to get to dive deep into talking about their games. So you guys are all going to want to make sure that you are subscribed here to the Jack Vita Show on YouTube or wherever it is that you get your podcasts so that you don't miss out on hearing. It's going to be fun to hear from Jordan, our winner.
I know we haven't gotten to hear from her all season, so this is great. So I'm excited that everybody gets along. I mean, of course, Rob, it's going to be the round table, but it's fun to hear from the final three and, their interviews.
Yeah, and I know that each of them have a lot to say, and they all seem like they're really excited to come on. I know Stephanie listens to this show pretty consistently, actually. Stephanie had told me she's gone back, and she has been listening to the Traders coverage that Stephanie LaGrossa and I did. So she's all in on the podcast. We had Amy on. Amy's a delight, and then looking forward to getting to meet Jordan for the first time. So those are all going to be a lot of fun. Brooke, let's get started with this. First and foremost, I want to know your thoughts on the final challenge here. What'd you think of that?
It was great. I mean, I like the idea of the maze, and it's always hard to tell with editing how close it was between Rob and Amy coming out. But it was a good enough challenge that like Amy, even with a head start, she still got passed up by the next two. And then it kind of came down to the wire with her and Rob. So it's great when you have challenges like that, where it's still anybody's game until the end. So I loved it. It had me on the edge of my seat the whole time.
I love the maze challenge. I did have, I did kind of have a hang up with it though. I realized I didn't like that we sort of left it all to chance with the idea of like, okay, if you're the last person on the maze, you're eliminated. But then it comes down to just chance of who are the two people with the higher case totals. I think at this point in the game, I'd like people to be able to have a little more control over their fate.
Yeah, it is one where, there's something about getting to be in the final, final two, final three with based on merit. But then also it's kind of fun when it's anybody's game down to the end. So
yeah, it's dramatic. But then I will say, so I love the maze. I will say that I thought this ropes challenge here at the end was anticlimactic. It ended so quickly. My thought, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, no, same thing. It was one where it felt like the finale, like excursion, should have been the maze. Yeah. And the ropes one wasn't as exciting as that one. So I'm with you on that.
The ropes was really odd because it's like we got the final two, and I'm used to on Survivor as we kind of get like each challenge at the end feels more and more epic. And it's like, oh, now we're going to have this really long endurance challenge where Tom and Ian are going to hang on to these poles for like 12 hours. And I'm used to just like even kind of a little bit of a break and having a moment where the girls are like, we did it. We outlasted all these guys. Like, I think that would have been really cool if they broke it off and maybe they went to camp and reflected a little bit and talked about how this would be meaningful for them and why it'd be great for each of them to win. And that wouldn't need to go on for too long, but it was just like, boom, boom. now we're throwing you into this ropes challenge, and the ropes challenge was over in a matter of like 5 minutes, and then now the final 25 minutes of the finale are the Deal or No Deal game. I thought it was an interesting choice because I liked having the extended Deal or No Deal game, but I think it would have been more fun if this was like a longer finale. Like, even it didn't have to be 2 hours, or maybe an hour and a half. And what I was hoping for with that final challenge, I wanted to see something that would have been like a collection of all of the activities that they've done so far. Because I think, unfortunately for someone like Amy, this was not something that was suited for her, that she was going to be very good at, and I'm sure she would admit that. But I think it would be cool to have a collection of, like, especially when we're asking these questions every week. Are you tenacious? Are you powerful? Like, let's have the ultimate challenge where each one of those traits is tested.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, something that would have evened it up a little bit better, where it wasn't just them balancing on the, walking across the rope, but it was maybe like a puzzle you had to do. And then, it seems like you see that more in Survivor, where you kind of have these final ones where it's several things you have to do, almost like the maze challenge, where there was the questions first about the game, so that then it evens things up if someone has more, their mental game stronger, and then someone else's physical game is stronger. And yeah, it was over like that. Instead, it just was a weird thing where you felt like you went from 4 players to suddenly 1 in a very short span of time. It was like there was 3, then there was 2, then there, it just was a weird jump from like 4 people to suddenly 1 person in the span of about 20 minutes on the show. So I agree with you. It was weird that there wasn't more of a pause when you just had 2 people left. And like you said, it's nice to like go back to camp, reflect on stuff, or maybe talk about, it kind of would have been interesting to hear their take on what's a little bit about like reflection on what's happened in the game.
Yeah, I totally think that would have been cool. And I know you don't want to be a direct ripoff of Survivor, but one thing I love about the early seasons is a torch walk, and each person kind of talks about why this was meaningful for them. It would have been, or like they have the jury speaks where the jury's all talking. So it would have been kind of fun if you clipped in, like, what does Aaron think about the fact that that Jordan and Amy are the people here? And we do get a little bit of that at the when Jordan wins, but it all just happens so fast. And I think it would have been cool if you had some compilation of, like you said, if balance isn't your strong suit, that you could make up for it by being really good at puzzles, or maybe you're not great at balancing or doing something like a rope climb or whatever you want to call that, but you have good endurance, so you can walk or run a really long way. So I think it would have been cool if they had done something like, I think our favorite excursion was that briefcase one where they had to follow the rope.
Ropes. Mm-hmm.
That would have been a perfect final challenge, honestly, if they had saved that for this spot.
Yeah, no, that would have been one that would have been a little more even too, on, depending on who was in the final 2 and things. So,
but Jordan does it. She wins. And it's funny, you mentioned that thing about the fact of, like, all of a sudden we had 4 and now we have 1. And it was kind of fitting in a way, because I really felt like, again, and there's so many great things I have to say about the show, but one of my criticisms would be, I don't know why they didn't develop Jordan more as a character, because we didn't hear from her until like the 8th episode. And on one hand, I appreciate the fact that it wasn't super obvious that she was going to win. It was because I was talking about Rob winning for so long and I was wrong. So I like that there was a little bit of a curveball there. However, I would have liked to get her strategy and her story fleshed out a little more.
Yeah. I think it happened, several episodes ago, where they started to include her more and show that she was kind of like in the middle, and they're making you guess as to like which side is she with the Night Owls, or is she with Rob and Aaron. So they did start to put that in there, but Rob said it well. He goes, Jordan had the right strategy. In this game, you want to be in the middle. You don't want to be anybody that somebody's going to target, after they play the banker and if they win. So he had it spot on. Jordan played the right game.
I think she played a masterful game, and it's something that I think you and I caught on to pretty quickly when we first started doing this 9 weeks ago or whatever it was. I think we said, like, you want to sort of be in the middle, not just in terms of being friends with everybody, but also in the competitions. Because if you're winning the competitions, then you have to make decisions, and those decisions are going to upset people, and that draws a line in the sand of where you stand. But if you're somebody who's not winning the challenges, at least at the very beginning, and then you're not the person who's being in the bottom two, you don't have to face the banker. And I think that's the ultimate strategy, is to not have to go in. So the only time that she faced the banker all season was when she got a chance to win $1.2 million.
I know, it's so funny. That was her warm up and her final round with the banker. So, yep.
So, okay. So what else any other thoughts before this, this game of Deal or No Deal?
Well, yeah, I know, it was just interesting because, I mean, when you think back to the start of the episode, we had Rob going out. So we finally got to see, how dejected he was. And, and he said, he goes, I did it to myself, but he did say, he goes, I was proud of the game I played and things, but it was, you could see he was beating himself up for making that, that epic mistake that cost him, and I really want to know, on Survivor, on this show, I really wish they would show you the elapsed time of challenges and when people finish versus someone else, because, I think people don't realize, and they could do it afterwards or something or make some comment, but it's just, I get you want to make it seem like it's close, but I'm always so curious, was it really that close?
Yeah, and I think that'll definitely be something I'll ask each of the final three ladies. It was like, how close was that? How much longer did it take for him to emerge? One thing I'm going to try to ask Rob, I'm gonna write down like several questions in case someone takes one of my questions and I have another one to fall back on. But the thing I think right now, the thing I'd like to know was, where does this one rank in terms of like the biggest, the greatest sting of loss, like in his reality TV career? Because I feel like, I don't know, it seems like this one was probably maybe at the very top for him, because he played a very, very good game and he was right there. And if you get to that final four and you're like, okay, Nick's not here, Dawson's not here, none of the strong guys are here, it's Rob and some very strong women. I don't want to underestimate the women, but Rob was the odds-on favorite, heavy favorite just 2 weeks ago. If this was sportsbook, a sports casino, every sports book would have him as like minus 200, or it was heavy betting odds for Rob to win. And he did it to himself. And as you mentioned, it just got to sting so much to be right there. And he played, Rob came into this game with some advantages because he has done this before. He's got greater skills and experience than everybody, but he also had the biggest target. And I think we thought, oh, this show will be fun when Rob's on it for like 3 or 4 weeks, and then what's it going to be like after that? But he frickin' did it. He got here to the Final Four. His fate was in his hands, aside from the fact of if he did edge out Amy, then it's like, okay, whose case has the highest total? But yeah, that seemed like the most dejected I've seen Rob on any of these shows.
Yeah, well, and it's got a like extra sting too. I mean, he made it so close, and he blew it on his part. And who's to say, even if he hadn't done that, if he would have made it, although it seems like he definitely, odds are good he wouldn't have come in last if he hadn't had that time penalty. But then also, I would guess this is more than any, like, higher pot of winning than any other one that he's been on. So that's got to be a little bit hard too. So
yeah, it was a lot of money. It was we'll talk about
crazy amount of money.
Amount of money up for grabs.
Yeah.
He played a heck of a game. And you know what? I think a lot of us, I got a message. I'm gonna give credit where credit's due, from Will Olson, who's a listener of this show. And Will messaged me and he said, this would be a really great spot for Rob to retire. If Rob is like, this would be a way to go out on top. Even though he didn't win, this is one of the most impressive showings that he's had in his reality TV career, and that includes Survivor and The Amazing Race and other stuff that he's done that I don't have the IMDb right next to me. I know a lot of people are talking about him being on Traitors or other shows, and we probably will see him on those other shows. But
Yeah.
his point was like, what if Rob goes out early on Traitors? I mean, that would just be kind of like, Michael Jordan playing on the Wizards at the end of his career. Like, I do think that there's something to be said that Rob, this may have been his greatest showing on a show. So if he wanted to hang it up at this point, I would blame him.
Yeah, no, Will has a good point. And you also see too that people really, I feel like, really liked him too in the way he treated Aaron and handled things. And so that was, I think that got him a lot of respect and stuff too. So.
Yeah, it was funny because on Survivor, he's a very polarizing figure. And he probably has more fans than he does haters. But on Deal or No Deal Island, it was like all fans. So.
Yeah, it was. It was too.
But
Well, and I really liked.
fun.
I thought Amy was great at the end too, and the editing was great. In the final challenge, the thing I did like, even though it was brief, you're watching him do it and the falls that they kept taking and stuff. Yeah. It was just so crazy. And it was actually nice to see that Jordan fell too, that it wasn't just, a slam dunk for Jordan. And then what was it? Amy, when she's saying like, I think when they're walking over the platform and she's like, I can see myself making it to the end or finishing this or whatever. And then she falls over. I was like, that was great. So, but she was so like gracious when Jordan won.
She's and so happy for her too.
Yeah. So I think it's just one of those things like, Amy just seems very sweet. And I know she got a lot of flack for, saying the whole Dumb and Dumber comment or whatever. And she really, I think she seemed like great, good sport, and just a really sweet person.
Yeah. And she was very nice when we had her on Insiders with Miranda and myself. And she was the greatest ally that Jordan had in playing the banker because they made a point of this, like Amy is there's one point where I think they say like, Amy, keep going. Like you're knocking out all the numbers that we want out of there. So
yeah. Did you notice she was like that all season? Like there were earlier ones too, where she would like call out she did really great. It was crazy. I was like, I don't know what special talent she has, X-ray vision, but she seemed to be like spot on the cases. I thought about that. I'm like, if I were there, I'd be listening to Amy the whole time.
You know what I thought was weird was people would give like a reason of like, yeah, so I've got two brothers and they're both born in July, so I'm picking number 7. My rationale would be I'm keeping number 7 on the board. I don't want to pick that case. I want to pick the numbers that I don't like. So what are the numbers like? Oh yeah, like my grandma died on like the 4th. So like get 4 out of there. That's not a good one.
Yes. No, I see it for picking the initial case. And then it was funny. We talked about this, how the past couple ones where people went against what their initial case was. And it's like, wait, you picked that for a reason. And then you went against it. But yes, when you're eliminating numbers, you would think it would be like, oh yeah, this is the date my boyfriend and I broke up. So take that one, or like.
I totaled my car on the 17th. Get 17th out. 17 out.
Yes. Yeah. So that's what was funny is like, or 13 is an unlucky number, but it just was. Yeah, it was interesting.
And that's what I thought would be funny is like they give a reason. It's like, oh, this is for my puppy dog and my puppy was born on this day. And then it's like, don't let me down, puppy or whatever. And then it's like there's $1 million in there. It's like, no, that's the case that you should be hanging on to because your puppy's – that's the way the puppy gives you good luck, not bad luck.
Yep. Well, if you get a chance to play, I want to see you use that strategy.
It would be really funny if I was just like super blunt about like every like terrible experience that's happened in my life. I got laid off from my job on this date. Like I don't even remember what those dates are, so maybe that's why. But that'd be funny. Okay, so you mentioned Amy. One more thing about Amy was that I like the savviness of she was like start shaking the rope, where she was just like, okay, what else do I have here? Jordan, if I need her to fall in order for me to have a chance. There's no point of me like starting because she's almost there anyway. So I thought that was pretty savvy, and I really hope that the viewers take that as something that was savvy too, and not like, oh, that was so mean. Why did she do that? Like, she's such a villain. It's like, look how happy she was for Jordan, and like she looks so genuinely happy for her.
Yeah. No, it's funny. I didn't even realize like I somehow missed that when I was watching it. So I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, and then the other thing that was weird too was how Stephanie is just like out like that. Like, we spent so much time with Stephanie, and the only reason she's out is because her case, it was Amy had 3.75, Jordan had 3.5, and then Stephanie had 3. And I would have loved to know what Rob's case had. That would have been really, I don't know why.
Oh, yeah.
That would have been really interesting. Hey, let's find out what was in your case, Rob. And then we could have known, like, where he would have been in all of this. But Stephanie, we should talk about Stephanie for a moment here, just because she was such a huge figure on this show.
Yeah.
And, like, she didn't get to be in that final challenge, but she also wasn't the last person out on the final 4. So we're talking about Rob, we talk about everybody. Thoughts on Stephanie? Just, not a whole lot in this episode, but as a whole, how'd you like seeing her play?
Yeah, no, I thought she did a great job being a competitor, trying to play the game. And she, Jordan's strategy was, I'm just going to lay low. I'm going to try and be quiet. Whereas Stephanie was like, I'm going to get in there. I'm going to ruffle feathers. I'm going to do, so that was her strategy. And it's one where, like, she picked it, she owned it, and she, she got caught making stuff up. And so that, that bit her, but I think she's great. And she made for great TV. It was really fun to watch. So, and she seemed, at the end too, she was gracious about everything. I think they picked some stand-up people, to be on this season. They did a really great job in casting.
Yeah. One thing I liked about Stephanie was just, like, her East Coast accent. I believe she's originally from Boston. And, like, right before Amy or Rob, it's like, who's coming out? She's like, I can't even look. Like, she was great. Yeah, and she played hard. She's a big fan of these shows. She is a quote unquote gamer. To your point, Brooke, about the casting, and we'll come back to Jordan in a second, but since we're here, Rob was obviously a big draw. And now Rob is not going to be on season 2. So my question to you is, do you want to see another person from Survivor or from another show, or would you like to see a cast of all new people?
I think it makes it fun to watch somebody that's been on reality TV before. So as much as, like, I hate when you're playing the game that somebody from another reality show gets to be on again, and they have like advanced knowledge and experience on this. But no, I think it would be fun to watch somebody that's come back. Plus, it just creates more viewers and more people getting involved because a fan base comes with them. And so, yeah, I just think that makes for better TV. How about you?
I would actually love to see an all newbie thing. I think that one of the problems with the show was Rob. The story was about Rob, for better or for worse. And I think there was really good things about that. But then the downside is you got a lot of really good characters. And I think they showed that they have a great ability to cast for this show. Like, I think the casting for this show is much better than recent seasons of Survivor or Big Brother, where I just haven't been very interested based off of the cast that they've put together. I love the cast for this season. I thought that there was a lot more that we could have seen from these people. And so if you get somebody who's going to, like, dominate the storyline throughout the entire season, then you're not going to get a chance to develop new stars and new, like, I don't think we're going to see any of these people on Traders or anything like that. But if you make it just newbies, you could develop some new stars. I think that'd be fun. So I guess my sort of, like, if you told me that you had to have somebody, I'd like it to be somebody that is going to be getting camera time, but not in a way that it's going to be just, like, solely focused on that person.
Mm-hmm. Well, you did have Claudia that's been on Deal or No Deal before, and she done some other stuff too on TV.
Yeah.
But yeah, not anything like, Rob, who's been on so much more well known and been on a lot of stuff. So yeah, it is hard because you do feel like when you have a returning player, it's kind of like they get a third to half the airtime, and then everybody else is divided amongst them and stuff. So
yeah. So I don't know. I'd be all in on newbies, but if we have to have a returning player, let's get our Stephanie LaGrossa on season 2.
There we go. I'm down for that.
Good at the competition.
She'd be fun to watch too, because Stephanie speaks her mind, and I love that about her.
Yeah. All right. So this final game. All right. 2 really fun things about this final game of Deal or No Deal. One, love the fact that the whole cast is back. That was really fun. I love to see, it was a little bit like a mix of like the Survivor reunion show with the jury, because everybody's there. They didn't do a reunion for this show, unfortunately. I think that could have been kind of fun if they did a reunion show, but not this season. And then, but you get to see everybody. I think everybody said something except Miranda. I think Miranda was the only person that didn't like say anything.
Yeah, I noticed she didn't get to speak, and
Alyssa didn't talk either.
no, that's what I was gonna say. Alyssa, when you said Miranda, I was thinking Alyssa at first, and then I was like, no, Miranda and Alyssa didn't get. I mean, I'm sure they spoke, but
Right.
didn't make the cut.
Kim got a lot of run here.
Mm-hmm. But Kim was, I mean, she I think drew a lot of people in. I think weren't you saying that viewership went down a little bit after Kim got ousted?
I think it did a little bit because of the conflict, but Kim was good, and it was like left side, like please be on the left side. But it was so fun to see everybody get behind her. There was nobody who was upset with her. And then the other thing that was so fun about this final game, the banker's identity has been revealed.
I was waiting for you to say that. I was like, you guessed right. Yes, no, it was fun to see Howie Mandel on there, and him, and him talk smack to Jordan and stuff. And, it was fun to see him and finally get the reveal. Even though we knew that's who it was just nice to have that confirmed.
Yeah, we all thought it was Howie, except for Miranda, who thought it was Trump. But
yeah, maybe next season they'll switch up the banker.
that would be interesting. That'd be fun. I think that this got really silly, and it was amazing. Like, I feel like the show just got very silly in this final episode with Howie. And, like, the fact that they turned the banker into this villain. First of all, the banker was never a character. It was like a computer probability algorithm thing. Now it's like we're attaching an identity to the banker. And not only that, but the banker is now a big jerk. And is like... And Howie was so good at this. Like, Brooke, this reminded me of like a skit at Vacation Bible School where like someone's supposed to be the bad guy and they're egging on the kids, and like it's like boo.
Yeah, no, it was a little bit cheesy, but it was fun to watch and stuff.
But see, I love that. I love it when reality TV gets cheesy. It was great.
Yeah, no, he was great. I mean, him and Jordan's banter back and forth, and Joe too. So, and
that's what I was really impressed with was, we were watching Deal or No Deal recently, my sister and I, like before this came on, we were watching some old episodes, and we were talking about how good of a host Howie is. And the fact that he's just like improvising all those lines, like, man, that was really, really good at his comebacks, the things he would say. I would love to know if they were like pausing and you get a phone call in. It's like, okay, this is what the offer is. Because I can't imagine how he's coming up with those offers.
No, I had the same thought. I'm like, no. He does not just like, that's something that's calculated. So they have to probably take some time out before they come back with what that is. But I also liked when Howie kept like kind of being mouthy and going back and forth with Jordan. I think at one point Joe goes, your chair, my floor. Like,
and then they all start chanting Joe.
Yeah, that was good. I know Joe did good not to let the spotlight be stolen from him.
But he also didn't like he let Howie shine too.
Yeah. So oh yeah.
He wasn't trying to like, hey, come on,
upstage him or anything. No.
So the game, Jordan gets offered $200,000 at first. She passes on that. Everyone's like, pass on it. And you can see a little bit of Jordan being like, guys, like, it's really easy for you to say, but like, I don't want to risk it. I could get $200,000. She hangs in there. Second offer, $600,000. Third is when it starts getting real interesting, and that was $1.97 million. And I think she struggled with like passing on that. And at the time, she still had the big $13 million case in there and some others. She ends up knocking out some of those, but she still had, I think, like a 4.5 and a 5 on the right side. So then the next offer actually goes up. It's 1.23, and she's just like, all right, I'm done here. Give me that like $1.2 million. That's a stupid amount of money. That's more than anyone gets from Survivor. Big Brother, Amazing Race.
Yeah.
I mean, the challenge, nobody, like, Survivor has probably the biggest prize of $1 million. A lot of shows don't even have that. So she made out very nicely here.
Yeah, I feel like that's a choice that most people would have made. They would have picked that, it makes sense. And maybe I was naive, but I was thinking that her case had to be less than what the offer was. Or she would lose, just like they'd played before. So then I was surprised. I'm like, wait, she got it. Don't they have to open her case first? No, if she got it. I didn't pay attention to that detail.
Yeah, just a pure game of Deal or No Deal, just like the classic one.
Yeah.
That would really stink if someone.
Yes, know that someone could win nothing. And so, but I like that the $13 million case stayed in as long as it did too. So that was fun that it didn't just go in the first round, because it made it a little bit more like dramatic and exciting.
And I feel like this played out the way that the production team hoped it would, and expected it to, not just hoped. I think they thought if we stack the right side with multiple millions of dollars, realistically, they're not going to get an offer between $13 and $6 million. Like, that's just probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
They did some probability stuff on here. Yeah, there's a chance that someone could win $3 million or $5 million or $6 million, but it was very unlikely that someone was going to win like $13 million. So the way that this was set up was it was a good insurance for like whoever wins is going to get to go home with a lot of money. And they're going to probably get around. Like, I think when they're drawing this up, they're probably like, okay, the winner's probably going to get $1 million to $2 million.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's the thing is, the question is if Jordan had won the 13 million, would that be the end of Deal or No Deal? They've gone bankrupt. That's what I was wondering. I was like, oh, maybe she shouldn't win all that, or the game would be the end of it before it's even begun.
Season 2, Rob is the host. Joe's gone. They had to lay off Joe. Like, they can't afford Joe. They can't afford Howie anymore.
They're like, no hosts. Everybody has to do it themselves. Or they just use AI. Yep, that's what I was going to say.
And then we get the... one more thing about Amy is Amy is saying that she's like calling all of these, and then when she gets this final offer, Jordan gets the final offer that she takes, Amy says, I would keep going, but I'm psycho.
I didn't catch that when she said that. That's funny.
So that would have been fun to see. It's too bad. It would have been really interesting because Amy was so good at playing Deal or No Deal. Like, maybe she would have won like $7 or $8 million.
Yeah, that would have been interesting it would have been fun to see somebody keep going and see how it played out. But I think I absolutely agree. I would have done the same thing as Jordan. I mean, once you get up there, it's like, all right, if you're winning 1 million or 2 million, I mean, it's both are life changing. Yeah. So.
Yeah, she did exactly what I would do. Like, at first, yeah, it's hard to pass on $200,000, but with that way that board was going, you could tell you were likely going to get offered a lot more than that if you hung in there. Mm-hmm. So, all right, Brooke, anything else? We've got a guest that we're going to bring in a second.
No, I think that's most. I think I like the part when the crowd was talking and then Joe said something to Jordan where he goes, I want to remind you that all of them were eliminated. Like, take with a grain of salt what their opinions were and stuff. So he had a lot of...
That was funny when Jordan's like, at one point, she picked something and she's like, guys, we have got to do better this time. And it's like, wait, no, you're the one playing, Jordan. Like, what?
But it's a whole team mentality at the end, which was fun to see.
Yeah,
so
it was fun.
Yeah.
And she kept saying, like, I'm standing up with my people. We want to have the greatest offer ever. She gets it. It was great. Well, Brooke, we have a very special treat here for this final edition of our recaps for this season, of course. Last week, we had a great guest on in Stephanie LaGrossa. Week before that, we had Bergie on. But some say that this guest is even greater than both of them and maybe the best guest that we've talked to all season. Who's joining us here for the final segment of the show?
Yes, this is hands down my favorite guest of the season. No offense to Stephanie or Bergie, but my partner in crime in Deal or No Deal Island, my son, Everett Stevens.
Hey, Everett.
Hi.
Welcome to the show.
Yes, thanks for joining us, Everett.
And Everett, how old are you?
10.
10. Okay. And you've been watching this every week with your mom, right?
Yes.
This is like the special time that you guys spend together?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
So, what did you think of the show? Have you liked it?
Yeah, it was really fun because it was cool too how they got like all these luxurious stuff when you got like sent out just in the wilderness, nothing, maybe like some flint. They got these luxurious tents and stuff, so it was pretty cool.
Yes, Everett had my back. Survivor was rough. And he was very sweet. He's like, I would love to see you play this, Mom, so you could sleep in a tent and have food. I was like, yes, thank you, Everett. Okay, so Everett, tell everyone, who are you rooting for all season? Who is your favorite? Who do you want to win?
Rob.
Yep, big Boston Rob fan. Why was he your favorite?
Just because he was just able to play smart, even though everybody wanted him out. He survived all the way to top 4, and how was the second oldest there and didn't get voted out really early on.
Yeah, he managed to hang in there. So, what was your favorite? They call them excursions, but it's kind of like challenges in Survivor. What was your favorite competition this season?
Maybe I think I like the maze the most because it's cool how at the final part, just how they just said to be continued is cool like that and all that stuff. And I like the maze too.
Yes, it was very dramatic, huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
Everett, how would you compare this show to Survivor? Obviously, I know you've watched a little Survivor. Do you like this one more or less than Survivor?
I think I like this a little more just because it was I don't know, but it was just kind of more entertaining to me.
All right, so Everett, the big question, if you could go on any reality show at the age of 10 years old, what reality show would you go on? Would you do Survivor, Deal or No Deal Island, something totally different?
Probably Deal or No Deal Island. Survivor's way harder. The Amazing Race, and those are really hard. And this, you take a shower after you get all muddy and dirty. You get food. It's pretty good.
Food is pretty important at the age of 10, right? You get pretty hungry all the time. And then if you'd won the 1.2 million that Jordan won, what would be the first thing you would buy?
Well, when I'm 10 years old, or if I was older.
10 years old. What's important?
Buy a better gaming setup.
See, adults, we think house, car, but Everett's got it right. The gaming setup. So perfect. All right.
Would you do Amazing Race with your mom?
I don't know. I'd probably have to sit out every 20 minutes. I don't know. When we get into the car and everything, but I hate heights, so when they had to climb across the thing, I just couldn't do. I'd probably start crying, but yeah.
Yeah, Everett's not a fan of the height stuff. I'm not a fan of the food challenges, so I do the heights one. Everett, you could do the eating challenges.
Yeah.
Everett, had you seen Rob on TV before? Had you watched him on Survivor or Amazing Race?
No. It's actually the first time I've ever watched him.
So now you want to watch those other seasons, right? The ones on Survivor that he was on?
Yep.
Yep. He watched Winners at War, but Rob wasn't on that, so.
Not for very long.
Oh, yeah. He was, at the start. I was going to say, so Everett, you have seen Rob. Yeah. Yeah, because
all the old schoolers, they were all gone.
Yes, I know. I was going to say because Amber was on it too.
Yeah, and Danny, and you were last week you said to Stephanie, you got to watch Winners at War. It's so good. And I actually I don't love Winners at War because of all the old schoolers going out. So it's more of a somber season for me than a fun season.
Yeah, because everybody great went out. So, yeah.
Everett, what'd you think of watching your mom on Survivor?
It was good. It just was weird because it's just like she didn't sound the same or look the same at all, and it's like it just didn't feel right to me.
It's a little rough when you're starved and sleep deprived and it's hot out. It's not the same mom. I'm much more fun when I'm well fed and have a lot of rest. Well, maybe someday I'll get to go back and then I can win and then we can buy you that gaming system.
Yeah, with that $1 million.
Yep.
Instead of that 13.600 and whatever that prize pot was, something in the 13 millions.
Yeah, that would be pretty nice, huh? If somebody had won that.
Yeah, that if Jordan won that, she would have made the most money out of the reality TV shows.
Very true. What was the next highest reality show winning, Everett?
It was Squid Games, the challenge. It was 4.5 million.
Yeah.
Wow.
So they really stepped it up. They like doubled it.
They did. I haven't verified Everett's facts, but I believe him. So, Jack, you probably know better, but I think that's...
I've not watched Squid Games, but I know that Winners at War, Tony won $2 million. So at the time, I think that was the largest prize. But maybe they've upped it since that was 4 years ago.
Yeah, Squid Games. Squid Games beat it.
Yeah, because when we started, it was like the biggest cash prize in reality show history. So, yeah.
Yep.
Everett, any other thoughts on Deal or No Deal Island? What'd you think of? Was there anyone else in the cast that you really liked other than Rob?
Aaron, that was my
Aaron.
Yeah.
Early on, we were rooting for Aaron. Yeah, we liked Aaron a lot too. At some point in the game, I kind of rooted for everybody along the way. Well, Everett, thank you for joining us on the show.
Yeah, thank you, Everett.
And to be continued, right, Everett? We're going to watch season 2 when it comes out, huh?
Yeah.
Yep. All right.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Everett.
Mm-hmm. Bye.
Bye, Ev.
Bye. All right. How about that? That was a fun interview.
Yes. Everett's debut. Watch for him in the future. It's just the start.
All right. What is there anything else that we didn't cover? Just thoughts on the finale or the season as a whole in the final minutes here?
I love happy endings. I'm the one who that's my favorite. So it's fun to see everybody come back. And then Jordan won. And then now she's pregnant. And so yeah, that was my favorite, to hear the after story too and stuff, that she's going to have a baby. So wishing her the best with all that. So.
Yeah. And that's where I'm glad we got the update. I still want a reunion show. I think a reunion show would be really interesting to kind of find out, how are Stephanie and Alyssa now? Are they cool? What's going on there? I mean, I guess I don't know how many things really need to be resolved. I guess I just like seeing these people again and kind of seeing what they would look like when they're not on the island. That's always the fun reveal.
Yes. Although it's funny because Survivor, you see people pretty emaciated by the end of it. And so everyone looks so different when they come back. And it's funny because most of the time, even though you're everybody's got hair and makeup and they're well rested and they've eaten, everyone kind of thinks everybody looked better when they were just natural in the woods and, not all made up. But yeah, I think Deal or No Deal Island people don't probably look quite as different as they do on some of the other reality shows when they come back. But it would have been, it's kind of fun to see everybody afterwards and to hear their take on it, because you don't get to know what's kind of going on in their heads at all times when it happens, or what they realized when they watched it, because there's so much of it you don't know that's going on until afterwards. And so that's kind of fun to hear what stuff they learned and how they felt about that.
I mean, if we had a reunion show, I think one of the things we get to talk, if it was a Survivor reunion show doing this, we'd have a little bit of a segment on Aaron and Rob. How did they end up clicking? And then I think one of the things that kind of would be fun is to get he did mention it. Rob said she played a great game, but it would have been interesting to hear him talk about that and for a couple minutes of Rob, who impressed you on this? Who are some of the people that? And he was very complimentary of Kim when he got Kim out. He was like, she was my greatest threat, and I think that's something that could have been kind of fun because Stephanie and Kim were roadblocks in his game, but Rob like game respects game. So I think he would be saying like, oh, you know, Stephanie, she's the player. So I think that's the one thing I would have liked. But I mean, I can't understate it. Love season 1. This was a really, really fun show. And Brooke, I'm so glad we got to do this every week. This was great.
I know. Yeah. You know what's funny? I probably wouldn't have started the show were not for you. There's just too much going on in my life. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to see what this show is about. And so you got me hooked. So good job. And it was a fun time for Everett and I. We really liked it. And yeah, it was one of the more fun, like uplifting shows that I've watched in a little while. So
yeah, it was fun. And your 2 daughters, though, they weren't able to stay up with it.
No, I couldn't get them in, but it's okay because I don't think Everett minded. He likes a little one-on-one time without his sister stealing the spotlight. So it worked out good.
Did KJ ever check it out?
No, he's not a huge reality show fan, so I can't ever get him to watch that stuff either. So
my dad's kind of the same way.
Yeah. No, it's funny. My parents watch reality shows, but not my siblings, not my husband. So,
well, Brooke, for one last time, this has been great. We're looking forward to season 2. I'm sure we'll have you on the podcast otherwise, even though if we aren't talking Deal or No Deal Island. So I just want to say thanks again for being my co-host and embarking on this journey with me, covering the show. This is a lot of fun.
Oh, thanks for having me, Jack. Anytime, and looking forward to being on again.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, see you later.
Bye.
Well, folks, it's been very fun covering this show, and I cannot believe Deal or No Deal Island has come to its end. We still got a lot more content, though. We've got interviews with Rob, Stephanie, Amy, and Jordan all coming out this week. And we'll probably do some more stuff after the season ends. Maybe we'll have some more Deal or No Deal Island insiders and talk with more members of the cast now that the season's over. Deal or No Deal Island may be over, but we're going to keep covering it. We'll be back for season 2. Traders season 2, I believe, is filming pretty soon, so we'll be covering that once that returns. And we'll still have stuff coming out throughout the summer. I may take a little bit of a break here in the first, maybe in the next few weeks, just because I've done a lot of work. But I still would encourage you guys to subscribe to this show. We'll have lots of interviews with reality TV personalities, people from Survivor and other shows. So make sure you guys are all subscribed here to the Jack Vita Show on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever it is that you get your podcasts. And log on to my website, jackvita.com, for more content. And once again, I just want to give a shout out to Brooke. She's a busy attorney, busy mom, so it means a lot for her to carve out this time and do these recaps with me. And it was a lot of fun, and I hope you guys enjoyed listening to them and kind of hearing us break down the game and talk about it, do the exit interviews, talk with all the members of the cast. Also, shout out to Miranda for what we did on Deal or No Deal Island Insiders. That was a lot of fun. It was just kind of an impromptu thing that we put together in the middle of the season. So, again, I really hope you guys have enjoyed our content. Please subscribe if you do. And you can follow me on social media at Jack Vita Show, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Like I said, we got lots more coming very soon. Until then, I'm Jack Vita. Bring in the dancing lobsters.